All right, we live in this bitch. Hey, what's up, y'all? First and foremost, I want to give all the praises, the glory, and the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Bakakwadash. And Lord will, this lesson is edifying for the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel only. And we going into all things war, man. This is going to be, the title of this lesson is going to be World War III is closer than you think. You know, it's closer than you think. Now, I'm not saying before I get started in this, I ain't saying that World War III is gonna come tomorrow. I ain't saying that World War III is gonna pop off in a month. I ain't saying it's gonna pop off for this year. I'm just saying that it's closer than you think. You know, and it lines up the current events that we're seeing right now lines up with biblical prophecy as well. Lines up with the true words of Yahweh, which are written in the Holy Bible, going into the third woe, the war Armageddon, the day of visitation, the armies being gathered and to be assembled into the valley of Jehoshaphat, all lining up and being pointed in that direction for all out destruction, all out war, and all out chaos, man. And we see the events around the world lining up, like I said, going into that direction. I ain't saying that it's coming, next week, but it is gonna come. Lo, it come, man. Let's go ahead and get a preset real quick. Matter of fact, let's do this real quick. Let's share my screen. All right, cool. So we're gonna go into the book of Habakkuk, man. This is the book of Habakkuk chapter 2, and starting at verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. He may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So what is the vision? The vision is these prophecies coming to pass, man. What does a prophet receive? The vision that a prophet receives is what the future is. You know, so all the visions that the prophets received are coming to pass, man. We're starting to see the visions of the prophet Isaiah, the visions of the prophet of John the Revelator when he was on the island of Patmos, going into the book of Revelation. We see the visions of the prophet Ezra. We see the visions of the prophet Jeremiah. Jacob's trouble, man. That's a vision of the prophet Jeremiah, man. So all the visions are coming to pass, but it's going to tarry. So we're not going to see World War III tomorrow. I mean, we can, but some things got to happen before we get to that time period. That's what I'm saying. Like, yes, we know that things are going to come to pass, but the Most High, and we don't know exactly when it's going to come, but we know the Most High do got a plan, and we can see that plan in the Holy Scriptures. We're going to go to some of that in Revelation, the 16th chapter. You know what I'm saying? But we understand and we know that vision is ultimately going to come. Though it tarry, hey, man, this shit may stall down for a little bit. I'm not saying it will. It looks like we full steam ahead, but we'll see. I don't know. Only the Most High knows. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the exact detail of how things gonna go down. We can't really tell the future. You know what I'm saying? We can look into the words of the prophets and be able to see what the future is based off of these words, have an insight for the future, have an overall scope of what the future gonna look like, but we can't tell the future to the exact minute detail like the Most High can, because it's his show, man. But we understand and we know that the vision will not tarry though, meaning what? Ultimately it's gonna speak. Ultimately, it's what thus said the Lord is gonna come to pass, man. It say, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. It ain't gonna tarry, man. Ultimately when World War III pop off, when all hell breaks through, when Armageddon pops off, we're gonna understand and we're gonna know that that's the Most High's vision, not tarrying. Because ultimately the vision is the Most High's vision at the end of the day. Yeah, he gave it to certain prophets to prophesy certain pieces of that ultimate big vision, but it's ultimately the Most High's big vision at the end of the day. So that's gonna speak at the end of the day. Everything that's thus said the Lord has to come to pass, man. Let's go to the book of Hebrews real quick. No, it's not Hebrews, it's Romans. It's a lot. It's the book of Romans, chapter 3, and verse number 3. For what is some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. Yea, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar. As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sins and mightest overcome when thou art judged. You know what I'm saying? So everything that the Most High said is true. We as men, we lie, man. You know, we fall short. We tell untruths, man. You know, we omit details. Most I don't omit nothing, man. Everything that's thus said the Lord is gonna come to pass 100% how He said it, not leaving out no detail. So all these things are gonna come, and we're starting to see it being shaped right now in society and being pushed and primed in that direction. That spirit of war is brewing, man, heavily. You know, but let's go ahead and get another precept before we go deep into this lesson and examine some of these articles, man, and just touch on it. What's that precept? It's Matthew it's verse 13. All right, I'm gonna just start at verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples, this is Matthew 24 chapter, by the way. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Notice it says the sign of thy coming and the end of the world, man. So this World War III is end time prophecy. It ain't gonna be no World War III, then no World War IV, then no World War V. It's World War III, and that's it, man. It's World War III, and that's it. That's the final woe, man. The end of the world. You know, let's get a quick one real quick. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra real quick. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, and verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So who's in power right now? The so-called white man, who is Esau Edom according to the Bible. You know, it says that he will be the end of the world. Meaning what? His rulership would be the end times rulership, man. You know, and what people are the Russians, are the people of Ukraine, are the people in Babylon, are the people the places where you seen that spirit of war be brought up. Who are the ruling men in them places? They Edomites, man. Babylon in America, aka Babylon, Edomites, Russia, Edomites, Ukraine, Edomites, the land of Israel, Edomites, specifically of the tribe of Amalek. Moab, China, that's Moab, but a lot of them are Edomites, man. You know, a lot of their line goes back to Edom. Edom and Moab are close. You know, matter of fact, let's go to Micah the 5th chapter real quick. No, it's not the one I wanted. Salakia. Let's go back. But Edom and Moab are close, man. If the spirit comes, I'll get it. I can't remember where it is right now, though. But let's go back up. So we know that these are the end of days. Like I said, the places where you see that spirit of war be brewed up in the world. That's in these countries, in these nations where the ruling men in them societies are Edomites, man. So we know that all this brewing right now is end time, end of the world prophecy, and there's no debating that, man. Verse 4, and Yahweh shall answer and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and see that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So Yahweh said, we shall see wars and rumors of wars, man. So we've seen a lot of rumors of wars going into the title. World War III is closer than we think, man. It's closer than you think. We've seen a lot of wars and rumors of wars in the past year, man. You had the China and Australia, the China and Taiwan. You know, not China and Australia. It was it was another country. It was another country in Australia. I can't remember though. But we had China and Taiwan, and that's still going on, man. That's just taking a back seat to the current narrative being spoken about between Russia and Ukraine. You know, but China and Taiwan, that's still going on, man. You got the Taiwanese government talking about how China has so much heavy artillery, so many advanced military tactics, so many advanced warfare skills. You know that they have no shot against China. That's the words of the Taiwanese ambassadors, man. So that's still going on. We got Russia and Ukraine. We got Israel and Iran, the Palestinians, man. You know, you got civil wars brewing up in these places when because of the certain MDATS and certain things like that, man. Because of a certain thing in society, y'all know what I'm talking about. You got that spirit of civil war being brewed up in these countries, man. Where countries are wanting to take over their governments and whatnot. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, real quick, man. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, and let's see. 2nd Ezra 15 and 15. For the for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So that's detailing civil war right there. Or one of the things that's detailing is civil war. Because what is they not regarding their kings or their princes? That's talking about they're not regarding the words, the sayings, the restrictions, the policies of their governors, their mayors, their presidents. You know, basically all out tyranny, man. That's what that's describing, man. All out tyranny. You know, that's what that's describing. So what does that turn into? Civil war, because you got those who are willing pawns of the global elite, basically those that dwell within the world spiritually and mentally, who are lockstep in with the new world order and any societal premise that the global elite bring into the world, you know, and anything that they use to push that new world order spirit, any new world order protocol they bring into effect, they believe they're lying words. They believe everything that they say, you know? They believe when they tell you they're doing it for your best interest. You got those people. Then you got people who can see through the bullshit, but they're still tied to the world, so they still want to get all up in arms and fight and think that they're fighting for their freedom and whatnot. They're not removed from the matrix completely. They can see through the facade, but they're still not removed from the matrix. See, when you remove completely from the matrix, man, you don't get up in arms, you don't fight, because you know this, you're fighting a losing war. Because you understand and you know that there's no way you can topple the global elite. Because Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has set them up. He has set them up to bring in the new world order, man. There's no way you or a group of people can topple that. The Most High, they work for the Most High. They work for the Most High, just on the left-hand path, man. So when you fully removed from the world, you don't get up all of this. But most people aren't fully removed from the world, right? So they're still gonna try to fight. They gonna get up in the civil war. They're gonna try to fight for their freedom. They're gonna try to take, especially these patriots. They're gonna try to take or attempt to take their country back. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they've got a major voice in their certain political or philosophical party, you know, who's really just a pawn of the global elite as well, just controlled opposition. But they believe that person on the straight and narrow. There was a certain a lot of people believe that about Trump, but since Trump has showed his hand by supporting the thing, a lot of his constituency are turning their back on Trump. But they're gonna come up with another, or even Trump's gonna come back, and it's gonna be or it's gonna be some kind of psyop, some kind of spiritual psyop, where to get a lot of people enraptured in his word again. We'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, but I'm just detailing the people who are in the world spiritually, mentally, whether that be the people who are pro global elite or people who are still in the world but are anti global elite. Those two factions of people are gonna be fighting in the civil war, man. You know, that's why you're gonna have sedition among men, because you're gonna have a certain faction of people that's not gonna regard their kings or princes. And you got some people who's gonna fight on the behalf of their kings and princes, man. And that's gonna cause people not to be able to go into certain cities. You know, now that verse 17 also goes into certain restrictions on travel because of certain things brought into effect. You know, but that's a whole nother topic. But when there's all out war going on, you can't travel on the interstate, man. It's all hell breaking loose, fire everywhere, guns blazing everywhere, man. You can't just go and drive on a freeway, go on I-20 and go down to Florida, man. It don't work that way. So you're gonna have global scale wars, and you're gonna have civil wars in these different places. So you're gonna have civil war in Australia, man. You're gonna have civil war in China, man. You got civil war in Europe. And they going crazy in Europe right now. They're going crazy out there right now. Protests, rallies. That's gonna turn into real shit soon, man. Right now it's just a little protest, just people with some signs and blowhorns and bullhorns and shouting and screaming and whatnot. That's eventually gonna turn into weaponry, guns, you know. People not giving a fuck no more because they feel like their freedom is being taken away from them. And they have no more hope in the current societal construct. That's gonna cause civil war in a lot of different places. You know what I'm saying? So that's tied into World War III. That's all the spirit of war. You know. Now on a bigger scale, it is the global. It is the international and the global discord is gonna cause the main you know disagreements and discord. Is gonna cause the spirit of war to be brought up. But you're also gonna have individual mini wars in different societies and places. That's gonna also assist in the spirit of World War III. You know. So it says, ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, plural. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So, like I said, we've seen a lot of different um spirits of war, in a lot of different countries and places. We've seen a wide variety of examples of that spirit of war being, like I said, whether that be Israel and Palestine, you know, the so-called Persians, whether that be Russia and Ukraine, which that's what we're covering, China and Taiwan, you know, also the Saudi Arabia thing that happened earlier this year. What was that? That group that with the Taliban, man. Going to the Dragons of Arabia, second up to the 15th chapter. That's spirit of war as well. So we're seeing that spirit being brewed up slowly but surely, over a wide variety of events in the world, man. All encompassing and building up to that full scale global World War III. It said because it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." What's these? You got a bunch of different rivaling nations rising up against each other, man. I mean, right now as we speak, you got discord between Russia and Ukraine, which basically a discord between Russia, Ukraine slash NATO. Yes, Ukraine is not in NATO, but NATO is in Babylon, the United States are one back in Ukraine. And basically, the discord is that Vladimir Putin in Russia, he basically wants America to promise to never allow Ukraine in NATO because Ukraine used to be part of the USSR. It was a state of the USSR, man. So basically, Vladimir Putin's like, I know that we ain't got her right now, but that's still my bitch. That's pretty much what he's saying. She ain't my top bitch right now. She ain't on my priority right now. But you still can't take what's mine. That's what Vladimir Putin's saying, basically. So we're seeing that be brewed up, as we hear more things about this, man. It's just that spirit of war just going out there and then causing that division between different rivaling nations, man. But let's go ahead and go into these articles. Because this very well could spark World War III, man. Now, like I said, there are some things that got to come to pass as well, for World War III to pop off in full scale that are coming, but are not here at full swing yet. You know what I'm saying? There's still a few things that still got to come, but that spirit of war is on the horizon, though. It says Russian ships, tanks, and troops on the move to Ukraine as peace talks stall. So right now, how we're currently constructed in the scene of war, the scene of Russia/Ukraine war is, right now we're kind of at an impasse where they've been talking about certain peace treaties. They've been talking about certain, which we know what the Bible says about peace and safety. Let's get that real quick, man. We know what the Bible says about peace, and even if they do meet some kind of so-called peace treaty or whatever, we know what the Bible says about peace and safety. This is the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So when you hear the words peace, safety, peace treaties, pact, or certain things like that, then we know that our hell breaking loose is right around the corner, man. Destruction is right around the corner. That's just a smoke screen. That's just a distraction. That's just a cap on the narrative for right now until they want to bring that narrative back to the forefront. That's all that is. But let's go back into the article. But right now we're at an impasse where there's no more talk of peace. There's no more talk of let's reach an agreement. Russia/Vladimir Putin, who is the president of Russia, has made certain demands to Joe Biden /Babylon/NATO/Ukraine. They're all one for the most part. Like I said, Ukraine is not in NATO, but they're all acting as one, allied together of some sort. Vladimir Putin has made certain requests that Ukraine never is allowed into NATO. And Joe Biden and Babylon are like, hell no, we can't promise that. So what are they doing? They're bringing troops in, man. And let's go into the article. It says Russia has sent more than 4,000 miles. It says Russia has sent troops more than 4,000 miles to Ukraine's border and announced sweeping naval drills as Moscow expands its preparations for a potential attack on Ukraine, as negotiations appear to be at a deadlock. Like I said, they're negotiating with certain promises and expectations, and they're at an impasse right now. Basically, Biden is like, nah, Ukraine, we can't promise that Ukraine would never be part of NATO, and other things as well that are on the negotiating table. They're basically, like I said, they're at an impasse right now. So what is Putin doing? Putin's threatening that with war. Putin's threatening that with sending troops to the borders, man. Basically, like if you don't meet my demands, I'll shoot one. If you don't meet my demands, I'll attack. I'll send my troops in, and you know what? We can get this thing started. So Putin's threatening Ukraine slash America, with certain demands, and if his demands aren't being met, he'll retaliate. It says 6 landing ships capable of carrying main battle tanks, troops, and other military vehicles traveled through the channel en route to the Mediterranean last week in a deployment that could bolster an amphibious landing on Ukraine's southern coast if Vladimir Putin orders an attack. It says Ukraine military intelligence has claimed that Russia is hiring mercenaries and supplying its proxy forces in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions with fuel tanks and self-propelled artillery in preparation for a potential upsurge in fighting. So they basically unloading the clip. That's pretty much what it's saying, man. They're pretty much unloading the clip, man. They got everything locked and loaded, and they saying, you know what, try me. Don't meet my demands. Move, in a way in which I don't approve of. Join NATO. Go ahead and do it. Do it. Like I said, Ukraine used to be in the USSR, man. And Putin, like I said, Putin is pretty much like that man that, you say you got a woman, but that's not really your top woman. That's not your top woman, but that's still your woman though. Say you a man that got it like that. You know what I'm saying? You got a wife, you may have a couple wives, you got some concubines, man. Ukraine is one of your concubines, and another man starts to, see what's up with your concubine. Now you can't 100% control the concubine, you can't, but that's still you still consider that your woman. So if someone's trying to take your woman, you're like, hell nah, man. That's mine. Well, not that she, you know what I'm saying? She mine, you know what I'm saying? That's the same thing that Russia is saying about Ukraine. Basically, that's still my property. No, NATO, you can't have her. And they're threatening that with heavy demands of artillery, war, attacks, missiles, all that, man. So, I mean, at any time this could pop off. It says in a large military force, including, let's see, yeah, I want to read this. Iskander short-range ballistic missiles, elite Stepsnas troops, and anti-aircraft batteries have arrived in Belarus from Russia's eastern military district, an extraordinary deployment that Western officials and analysts say could enable Moscow to threaten Kiev, Ukraine's capital. So basically, they got all kinds of not just troops, but also missiles, heavy ballistic missiles, short range aircrafts. They got boots on the ground. They got aircrafts. They got ballistic missiles. They got the whole clip, surrounding Ukraine, man. You know what I'm saying? At any time they could attack. So this is the real deal. This is serious, man. It says the new deployments have worried U.S. officials. What concerns us is the total picture, said Senator State Department official in a briefing last week. It's the amassing of 100,000 troops along Ukraine's borders, combined with moving forces into Belarus over the weekend. The numbers are beyond, of course, what we would expect with regard to normal exercise. So basically, like the article and myself, saying, Russia's got a bunch of troops surrounding Ukraine's borders. So, we've also been seeing in the news as well. Joe Biden has been saying and been claiming that they're sending troops over, or threatening or giving a warning that, we're going to send our troops as well over there. Basically, you want to get this thing popping, hey, we got to defend ourselves too. It says, I'm gonna go down here. It says the U.S. President Joe Biden last week said that Putin himself may not know what he plans to do, but the results are either reckless brinkmanship or preparations for a large-scale military operation. That's what it is right there. It's preparations for a large-scale military operation, man. Because that will fulfill the prophecies in the Holy Scriptures. Like I said, who knows when exactly 100% is going to pop off? But as the Scriptures say, the vision, though it tarry, wait for it. It will come. It will surely not tarry. So this may die down, man. It could be. Now, to me, it looks like it's all guns blazing, but it could die down. It could. This narrative could subside for another narrative. Maybe this subsides for a little bit, and then China and Taiwan, that narrative gets pushed, or China and Russia in terms of them teaming up and ganging up against Ukraine. That starts to get pushed. You know, who knows? Who knows? But one thing for sure is that the spirit of war is getting out there. The spirit of war, the spirit of heavy artillery war, you know, ballistic missile war. This ain't no little small shit, man. Why do you think they got them hypersonic missiles, man? North Korea just tested a hypersonic missile like 2 weeks ago. Shot all kinds of feet up in the air, man. You know, why do they have these hypersonic missiles? China, Russia, North Korea. It's because eventually that World War III is gonna pop off, man. They want to be all guns blazing for it. That way they have boots on the ground, got boots in the air, everything, man. It says it gradually dawned on Putin that if he stays on the track of stable and predictable, as Biden indicated, he's the designated loser, said Pavel Bayev, research professor. Actually, that's all I'm going to get right there. Go down. Oh, here we go. As Russia's buildup nears completion, U.S. and European countries have stepped up military support for Ukraine. So what is that? That's the U.S. and NATO. You know, that's Babylon and NATO, man. That's the seven horns, man. Let's go to Revelation, the 17th chapter. Because don't the scriptures say they have one mind? So we're seeing more and more examples proving the Holy Scriptures, man. Revelation chapter 17 and verse number 12. It says, "In the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast." So who's the one leading the charge against Russia? It's the beast. It's Babylon, man. You know, that's the one that's leading the charge. Now, of course, this speaks on a higher level spiritual perspective as well, in terms of the pagan spirits slash gods that they worship, they venerate, and do the bidding for. But on the fleshly realm, Babylon is the one running the show. On the worldly realm, in terms of the worldly space, fear, Babylon, America is the one running the show. You know, and them 10 kings are going into NATO, man. Now we know NATO started out as 10 nations, but now it's matriculated. I think it's 23 nations right now, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It's either 23 or 26 or somewhere between, give or take 5 standard deviations. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Who knows exactly, you know, when, like I said, when all this is going to go down 100%. But we know that the 10 horns, you know, are teaming up with Babylon, you know, all preparing for war, man. Like I said, these have one mind. Oh shoot. And they've stepped up, like I said, they have stepped up military support for Ukraine, you know. So as Russia is preparing, you know, their troops, their militia, their weaponry for the attack, you know, Babylon, which is America, and NATO, which is the European countries, are preparing their troops, their militia, their weaponry, you know, for the attack as well, for the counterattack. Or they could be the one to throw the first shot. Who knows? We'll see. It says Estonia has said it will provide Javelin anti-tank missiles, while Lithuania and Latvia will send Stinger and anti-aircraft missiles. Those are NATO countries, European Union countries, man. Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia. Those are EU countries. You know, those are EU NATO countries, man. You know, so they're prepared to back Babylon and back in Ukraine, all against Russia, man. Proven the scriptures, man. Now, eventually, they're gonna turn their back on the whore slash Babylon. You know, pursuant to Revelation 17 and 16. But as of now, like it says, they receive power for 1 hour, so they together right now. Now, on the counter, you got U.S. placing troops, you know, uh, alerting their troops for deployment to Eastern Europe amid Russia tensions, man. You know, so we got that. We got America is going on the counterattack. They see Russia getting their troops in there, 100,000 deep. You know, weapon crazy as military weapon deep. You know, and they're like, we're not going down without no fight, man. So the stage is being set, and this is looks like this is the one that they're using, man. They're using the Russia and Ukraine stage to set the spirit of war for the decade, man. Now we also had, you know, like I said earlier on in this lesson, we had other narrative slash, you know, events detailing the spirit of war. You know, going into China and Taiwan, which is actively still going on, just not heavily pushed right now. We had um, the tension between Israel and Palestine slash Persians. You know, we had the issues with the people of Saudi Arabia and the Taliban, which the people of Saudi Arabia slash America, because America's backing that against Taliban. We had that, aka the Dragons of Arabia, spoken about the second edge of the 15th chapter. You know, we had that going on, you know, but none of that really matriculated into anything huge or anything monumental in terms of having moving parts be placed in certain areas in terms of, boots on the ground. You had different people of those nations sending shots and bombs and whatnot to blow up certain factions, to blow up certain basically in like a little in a dispute between those two parties, but you didn't have anything, you know, on this scale yet. When you got different countries, that's what a world war is. You got different rivaling nations, you know, going at each other. You didn't have anything like that yet. You know what I'm saying? In terms of this past year, so this is the one that they're using to push that spirit of world war. It says, going to the article, it says as many as 8,500 U.S. troops have been put on heightened alert for a possible deployment to Eastern Europe as Russian troops mass on Ukraine border. Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby said Monday. It says U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin issued the prepared to deploy orders at the direction of President Joe Biden. The latest step the U.S. has taken to prepare for a potential Russian invasion of Ukraine that officials have warned could be imminent. It says could be imminent, man. You know, imminent, meaning it's going to happen. There's no way to stop it. It says Kirby said that the bulk of U.S. troops placed on heightened alert were intended to bolster NATO's quick response force, but added they would be postured to be ready for any contingencies as well. As of Monday afternoon, no final decision to deploy the troops had been made, Kirby emphasized. So now we're on today we're Wednesday night. You know, so as of today, we still don't have any, you know, as well as far as about 5 o'clock today. Last time I really reviewed this information, we didn't have any official word that there were any U.S. troops being deployed over to that area. But we know that Russia got boots on the ground, 100,000 deep, over there. Belarus, crazy weaponry, all throughout the borders of Ukraine. They ready. They ready for the attack. So if they were to make an attack, best believe you're gonna have U.S. troops be deployed quickly over there. Plenty more than 8,500. I think it's 85,000, 8,500. Plenty more than 8,500 being deployed over there. Also troops of these other European countries, being put over there as well. That's world war, right? That's what starts world war. Rivaling nations, with crazy artillery, ballistic missiles, fighting each other, man. That gets everyone involved. Anyone who's anyone gets involved in that, man. Russia and their allies. You got China, you got Iran/Persia. Let's go to now we know the precepts that go into World War III. The Gog, in terms of Russia dealing with specifically with Russia, Gog and Magog. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, and verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, chief priest of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief priest of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed in all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, man. So, we go back to this this particular article, this first one I went to. Gog and Magog is dealing with the landmass of Russia. But we go back to this previous article. It says amassing 100,000 troops, bringing to the U.S. borders, man. I mean to the Ukraine's borders. It says, I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, going into their troops, man, their military. I also want to get this in Belarus. Like I said, they got forces, in Belarus. Let me see where the part is. Oh yeah, here we go. Short range ballistic. This is going into Russia. What they got? Short range ballistic missiles, anti-aircraft batteries. Elite. Weaponry, man. Elite weaponry, ready to attack at any given time. Going into all sorts of armor, even a great company of bucklers and shields, all them handling swords. Now we know the modern day sword is the gun, man, but it's not even just the guns, man. It's all their missiles, their tanks, their hypersonic capabilities, man. That's what it's all going into. And it says Persia and Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So Persia now, what have we been seeing with Persia, man? We see with Persia/Iran, who are a large that's a large amount of the so-called Palestinians, that are in the land of Israel today. We saw that what April, May of 2021. We saw them against Israel, man, the land of Israel. Who's back in Israel? When you deal with Israel, who do you deal with? You deal with America, man. And who was Russia against right now? Ukraine. And who was Ukraine down with? America, man. So it all goes back to Babylon, man. That's why you go back, you go further into Ezekiel 30th chapter, and you go down to You go down to verse 30. You go down to verse. You go down to verse 10 of Ezekiel 38. It says, "Thus saith the Lord God: It shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind. Whose mind? Go into the mind of the Gog and Magog, aka Russia. And thou shalt think an evil thought." And we're in that time period right now, but they're thinking evil thoughts, man. You know, man, they like, man, to hell with America, to hell with Ukraine, to hell with this place, man. We want our takeover back, man. Remember the Cold War? That was they lost the Cold War, man. You know, they got the whole nation got disbanded. USSR got disbanded, man. You know, USSR / Soviet Union got disbanded, man. You know what? The Heavenly Father's putting that spirit back up on them. The chief leaders over there saying, you know what? We want our domination back. We want to be back in prominence and power. That's why they teaming up with China. You know, because we all know what China's about. We all know the power that China actually has over the global sphere, not just economically, but also societally as well, because all the commerce and all the goods and services. All the goods that they bring to other countries, man, that they produce and they share with other countries. Not even going to the hypersonic capabilities of the Chinese missiles as well. You know, so Russia is like, you know what, we want our power back, and they're gonna go to so-called evil thoughts to get that accomplished, man. Basically, what is that? The thoughts of war. Verse 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest. And who was them that are at rest, man? That's going into Babylon, man. That's talking about America. And it's also talking about the land of Israel as well, because the land of Israel is down with America. And we know this ultimate battle is going to be fought on the land in the grounds of the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Yahweh Shaphat, which is the land of Israel today, pursuant to Joel the 3rd chapter. All of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Basically going to the spirit of rest, the spirit of safety, the spirit of freedom and things like that. Not caring about, not having a care in the world type spirit. That's going into Babylon, man. You know? So when they get that spirit of war is against Babylon, which means what? Against NATO, against Israel, the land of Israel, you know. The Israelites too, you know, we had out to everybody, but you know, the land of Israel specifically, you know. So this is all fulfilling biblical prophecy right here with the Russians, you know, basically got that takeover spirit in them again. But continuing on. So the United States has taken steps to heighten the readiness of its forces at home and abroad, so they are prepared to respond into a range of contingencies, including support to the NATO response force if it's activated. Once once Ukraine attacks Ukraine, once Russia attacks Ukraine and the NATO response force is activated, U.S. is going to be down. U.S. is pretty much down with that. You know, U.S. is down with that 100 grand. You know, and ready for the counterattack. It says which comprises around 40,000 multinational troops. Earlier, and that's like I said, that's boots on the ground, and also talking about the air missiles as well, the air capabilities with their weaponry. It says earlier on CNN, Monday. I'm not gonna get that point. I'm gonna go down to this point right here. It says, in the event of NATO's activation on the NRF and deteriorating security environment, the United States would be in a position to rapidly deploy additional brigade combat teams, logistics, medical, aviation, intelligence, surveillance, and transportation and additional capabilities into Europe, Kirby said. So basically, all boots on the ground, man. All boots on the ground. Air, water, surveillance, intelligence. Air. Of course, air being aviation. Got a medical team. All that, man. In all ways, they ready for war. What is all that detailing? What is all this detailing right here? Logistics, medical, aviation. I mean, you don't need a doctor if ain't nothing gonna pop off. You don't need no aircraft team if you don't need to shoot no shit from the air, man. Or survey the landscape to keep people protected. You know, you don't need none of that if you're not planning on going to war. You know, so they telling you, oh, we don't know. It could be this, it could be that. They going to war, man. They going to war. I don't know when. Like I said, I don't know when exactly it's going to be, but they going to war. Not just because of what they say, but because of what the Holy Script, what Yahweh says, man. Yahweh says they going to war. You know, so we know they going to war. Since the news comes amid U.S. warnings that a potential Russian invasion of Ukraine could be imminent. The State Department on Sunday reduced staffing at the embassy in Kiev, Ukraine, with the departure of non-essential staff and family members an abundance of an abundance of caution. You know, so they America has removed its people from the embassies, man. Oh, here we go. Let me get this right here. It says State Department orders diplomats' families to leave U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, citing threat of Russian military action. So they didn't seriously think that Russia was going to make an attack. They would have no need to remove the people from the embassies, man. So they understand and they know that, either Russia's gonna make that first attack or they gonna make that first attack and blame Russia, and that's gonna spark a lot of calamity and collision, and which is gonna have grievous consequences in terms of Biden has already came out and talked about the sanctions, the levies that be placed upon Russia, which is gonna have, and Russia's down with China, which that's gonna have hard hard implications on the American citizens, man, in terms of inflation, shortages of supplies and food and goods and things like that. So all that is, that's bad news for for the world, man. This all goes hand in hand. It says that this is going into that article, the article of removing families and diplomats from the U.S. embassy. It says the security conditions, particularly among Ukraine's borders in Russia-occupied Crimea and in Russia-controlled eastern Ukraine, are unpredictable and can deteriorate with little notice. Anytime. Notice they've been saying a lot in the media. They've been using the phrase at any time. They've been using the phrase imminent. They've been using the phrase any day now. So at any time, this shit could pop off, man. Says the department said in a statement, U.S. citizens in Ukraine should consider departing now using commercial and other privately available transportation options. So we see this thing is about to go crazy, man. It's going to go crazy with it. Fighter jets, all that type of shit. I want to get this right here. It says Biden, Ukraine invasion would change the world, but U.S. NATO won't be there. It says Ukraine invasion would change the world. Like I said, when that war pops off, man, whenever this pops off, and Russia invades, and U.S. Levies these heavy sanctions on Russia, and China starts to get involved too. Oh man, it's wraps after that. Once China gets involved, that's because America's trillions of dollars in debt to China. So once China gets involved, um, they they's not sending their shit over here no more, or heavily limiting the supplies and goods they send here. On top of the shortage we already got, that shit ain't gone away completely. The supply chain shortage, that shit ain't gone away. They just ain't talking about that shit. But you look up that shit. That shit's still going. The famines, they ain't talking about it, but that shit's still going on, man. So once all these levies and these sanctions are placed on Russia and China gets involved in terms of backing Russia, remember they got a alliance, man. So this is going back to the Russian invasion of Ukraine back in 2014, after that, Russia established relations with China. Now, China said at that moment in 2014 that they wouldn't actually physically, you know, assist Russia in terms of having their troop boots on the ground fighting with Russia. But they said in a future event they would, man. But it's not even just about physical shit, which is it's gonna be that too. But it's not even just about going into the ultimate war. It's not even just about that though. Because remember, Yahweh Shah said these are the beginnings of sorrows. So this is the beginnings of wars that we're seeing right here. This is the beginning of the spirit of World War III that we're seeing right here, man. You know, so eventually, when that big time war, global scale war pops off, yeah, you are gonna have China physically fighting and assisting Russia. You know, which is gonna be down with who's also gonna be down with Persia, Libya, and um and um and Ethiopia as well. Pursuant to Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse number 5. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, with who? Gog, Magog, being Russia. But China's going to be with them as well because China and Russia have established alliance since 2014. You know, but when that big time war eventually pops off, it is going to be heavy, heavy physical. You know, but prior to that though, you're going to have a lot of different U.S. is going to levy a lot of sanctions on Russia once they attack, but China's not going to be down with that though, and China's going to bring a lot of restrictions on America in terms of borrowing, in terms of ability to use their goods and their services to be able to fund things and to bring things into the world for the country for the American people. You know, on top of the shortages we already got. Also, America being trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt to China, what's that going to do? Cause mass inflation, man. Cause mass inflation. You know, basically going to dump all the debt. You know, going to dump all the debt, man. I mean, that's just who knows exactly how this going to go down, but I mean, that's just something I can see personally. You know, that's just something I can see. But who knows? I mean, that just makes sense once U.S. levies heavy sanctions on Russia. Joe Biden's already come out and said that if Russia attacks, they won't be able to deal with the dollar anymore, which the dollar is going to be rendered persona non grata anyway. But how is that going to come once Biden levies heavy sanctions on Russia in terms of they're not being able to deal with the dollar, and China gets involved and and um and dumps all the debt and basically d- doesn't provide any more services to the United States, with the United States already being trillions of dollars in debt to China, that's going to assist in the dollar collapsing, which the dollar is going to be rendered persona non grata at that point in time anyway. It's all about bringing in their new world, man. You know, that's why a lot of this shit, now I do believe there is some aspect of conflict, of real conflict between these nations. I do believe that, but I think they're all fighting for that next spot of being a global, world and being the global world power. You know what I'm saying? But it all still is a narrative at the end of the day. It's all still a narrative at the end of the day. If they all still lockstep in some way, shape, or form on certain things at the end of the day. It's all to bring in the new world order, the new money system, the new global structure, you know, the new global structure of dependence and reliance on them for your everyday necessities because they're going to collapse certain factions of society. You know, that's what it's about ultimately at the end of the day. And war is just a tool being used to break down certain societies and whatnot so that you become more reliant and more dependent on them, which is going to lead to you taking certain things that the Bible instructs not to take, if y'all know what I mean. And they're going to use different programs and whatnot to bring that into pass, like such as UBI, such as different digital different incentives and whatnot for the new digital currency that's going to come, you know, probably later on this year. There's already been talk about United States. Basically, there's a program going on with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also known as MIT, linking it up with, I forget the name of the other program as well, to form different bodies of, you know, service and whatnot, and also different programs in terms of how to get the U.S. Digital currency to go mainstream. You know, you can look that up. You look up digital dollar, U.S. digital dollar, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and it'll pull up what I'm talking about. But anyway, back to the article. Back to this topic. It says there will be enormous consequences if he were to go and invade, as he could the entire country, like I was just detailing, or a lot less than as well for Russia, not only in terms of economic consequences and political consequences. Biden told reporters referring to Russian President Vladimir Putin, but there will be enormous consequences worldwide. The president continue. Now, when he says there'll be enormous consequences worldwide, see, the average American is going to look at that and say, "Oh man, yeah, big bad America. You know, we the top dogs, and we going out Russia, man. You fuck with us, we fuck with you, man. Don't fuck with us, man. You know, you want to fuck with us and try to invade, you know, our allies and whatnot. Try to come against us. You know what? Hey, man, we gonna we gonna levy heavy sanctions on you, man. We gonna make life harder for you, man, because we the world power. That's how the average American would read a statement like that. But really, what Biden is actually saying, it's gonna be consequences worldwide for you, for me, for everyone in this world, man. That's what he actually is saying. You know, it's gonna be consequences in terms of shortages for Americans because China's gonna step in and not bring no more not bring no more goods and things of that nature to America. Stop that supply, man. You know, there's going to be heavy consequences in terms of inflation for the average American, man. Once all the debt gets dumped, once China, and like I said, America being trillions of dollars in debt to China, you know, who gonna pay that, man? The American people, the American people, man. You know, because there's gonna be less. There's gonna be less of it there. It's gonna cost more, man. So that's what we really talking about the consequences. Now I'm sure there'll be some little short term consequences, you know, for Russia, but in the long term, which the long term is not probably ain't gonna even be that long, but y'all know what I mean. It's gonna backfire. As the president continued, this would be the largest if he were to move in with all those forces. Get this, it would be the largest invasion since World War II. It would change the world. So what are they detailing right here? They're telling you that this is the conflict. This is the discord that's paving the way for World War III, man. Go to Revelation, the 11th chapter. This is Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. The second woe is World War I, man. It's like it's World War II. That's the second woe. The third woe cometh quickly. We're in that time period right now where that third woe is coming quickly, man. It says out of the mouth of Biden, they're telling you what it is. It would be the largest invasion since World War II, or the second woe. It would change the world, paving the way for what? So what are they telling you? It will be the largest since World War II. So they're telling you it would cause World War III. That's what they're telling you. Or it would bring it into effect World War III. It will be the start of World War III. That's what they're telling you, man. You know, going back to this precept. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. You know, I got a little chocolate ice cream. Let me not say that on this channel, man. They be flagging this shit, man. I was gonna say something crazy, but you just, you got I said a Russian military. This is a picture right here of the Russian military vehicles, on the way to Belarus, man. And they ready. They got heavy weaponry in there, man. They got the men in terms of the troops got boots on the ground there, man. They ready. They ready, man. And they ain't letting up either. I'm gonna get down. I want to get this point right here. It says more than 100,000, like we read earlier. More than 100,000 Russian troops are believed to be massed along the border with Ukraine, and the administration has warned that military action could take place at any time. Like I said, they keep using that phrase "at any time," imminent. They're telling you that it's gonna be like a thief in the night. It's gonna be like a thief in the night, man. You know, and that's why Yahweh Shah told us to always watch and always be on our watch and be looking, man. Because not only is he gonna come like a thief in the night, but the way the Most High works, he catches people off guard, man. The Most High wants to get, because if now the Most High does make it obvious, he makes it obvious, but that's if you got eyes to see. But the Most High want to catch people off guard, man. Like, you want to live in your folly, you want to live in your foolishness. You didn't want to acknowledge me. You want to live. I gave you an opportunity to come back. You didn't want to. You chose the world when I was displaying, you know, through various men who are out teaching us brothers who are doing this work. You know, the spirit of Yahweh Shah just being out there in the world right now. In terms of amongst our people. We're beginning that process of getting that light. That's really the tabernacle of David being raised. Let's go to Amos the 9th chapter real quick. With the tabernacle of David being raised, that's going to show that the Most High, is bringing His Spirit out into the world, man. And ultimately, that's the Word, which is the Spirit of Yahweh Shai. This is Amos chapter 9 and verse 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. So now this started back when Yahweh Shai was on the scene, but it's continuing into right now. Because right now we're in a position where we're starting to get that living water again. We're starting to get that water because we were dry bones, man. Let's go to Ezekiel I think it's the 37th chapter. I'm just get that real quick. This is Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 1. The hand of the Lord was upon me, and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. That's going into us right now, man. We were in that valley, dry, have no understanding, no oil, no light, just in that darkness, man. Dry and dark. We had no light, we had no oil. Oil being deeper level understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. Light being Yahweh Shah, which is wisdom, which is understanding, which ultimately is the word of the Most High. John the first chapter, man. In the beginning was the Word, and Word was with God, and Word was God, man. Going in Yahweh Shah. Verse 3. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. And he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and saying to them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. So we're hearing the word of the Lord right now, man. Because we were those dry bones. Now that spirit of the word of the Lord is being pushed more and more through the men the Most High is raising, that tabernacle of David, to do his work. So this goes right here into Amos 9:11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David. What is that? The elect men who are out here doing the work, serving the Lord in truth and sincerity, man. That is fallen. Now, this is just continuance of the tabernacle of David, because like I said, it started when Yahweh Shah was on the scene. That is fallen and close up the breaches thereof, meaning what? It's eventually going to close up, man. There's a timetable on this. You know, there's a timetable on being able to get this word, but the Most High has opened the breaches. He's opened it up and allowing people to come in right now. So he's making it very obvious, what's going on, what's around us, how things are, the scope of the world, what prophecies are going to start to come to pass. He's making it very obvious, man. That's only if you got eyes to see. For the rest of the world, he's gonna come back. Not only is Yahweh Shah gonna come back like a thief in the night, but the prophecy is gonna kick off like a thief in the night as well. That's how the Most High operates. He allows for those who want to get understanding to come and get it, for those who want to chase Sophia, which is wisdom, to come and get it. He allows that, but eventually he's gonna cut that off. And when he cuts that off, the people of the world still not gonna know what's going on. And when everything starts to happen and starts to go pop off in a crazy, crazy way, in an uninterrupted way, in a obvious way where you know exactly what it is, you know exactly what time period is coming and whatnot, then that's going to seem like a thief in the night to the average person in the world because they weren't paying attention and listening and learning and watching. You know, that's why Yahweh Shah said to watch ye therefore always and pray. But let's go ahead and get Luke the 12th chapter. Let's get Luke the 12th chapter. Let's go down to verse 38. Let's just get the point. Verse 40. It says, verse 40, be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not. So he's going to come in an hour when we think not. And in order for the Son of Man to come back, World War III has to pop off, man. Because Yahweh Shah is going to be the one that comes and ends World War III with that fire out of his mouth, pursuing the second Ezra, the 13th chapter, because he's also going, we're going to have war. Oh, that's the war in heaven as well. You're going to have World War III. That's another war in heaven, man. You know, what you're gonna have when they see Yahweh Shah coming back in the midst of World War III, they're gonna try to stop Yahweh Shah, which is the war in heaven. He's gonna kill them. He's gonna make easy work of them, and then he's gonna bring flames upon this world, man. Basically, put an end to World War III. But it's gonna be a destructive end, though. Going into the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. Just go down. Joel 3:19. Egypt shall be a desolation. Egypt being Babylon, but it's also going to be actual Egypt too. And Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. Edom being the nation of Edom, and who in the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is the land of Israel. Let's go up in Joel, verse 2. Joel 3:2, I will gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. That word also in the Paleo Hebrew means Yahweh Shaphat, which means God, the land that God judges, which that is the land of Israel. He said, I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and part of my land. So he's going to bring all the nations to that land right there. So when Yahweh Shah comes back and does a demolition job in this world, it's going to be, of course you're going to get rid of Babylon, America, but also that land, in terms of cleansing that land with fire, because that is going to be our land. You know what I'm saying? But he's going to cleanse it with fire, by basically killing all these heathens, getting rid of the heathens in that land. Who was what? And who are those people primarily in that land? Edomites, man. It says Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Judah shall dwell forever in Jerusalem from generation to generation. I will cleanse their blood that have not cleansed, for the Lord dwelleth in Zion. So when Yahweh Shah comes back, basically, like I say, he's going to get rid of them via that war in heaven. Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, Revelation, the 12th chapter, and the 7th verse. That basically what details that war in heaven. He's going to get rid of them, and then he's going to come back and do do work on the Edomites and the other heathen nations in that land. Going to Isaiah, the 63rd chapter, he dyed garments from Basra being Edom. Going to Isaiah, I think it's the 34th chapter, woe to the Idumeans. Let me get that real quick. which is just the Greek form of Edom. Let's see. Yep, it's Isaiah 34. Isaiah 34 and 5. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So Yahweh Shai, when you go into Joel the 3rd chapter, it says Edom a desolate wilderness. That's Edom and Idumea. Edom is the nation of Esau. You know what I'm saying? Who are the Greeks, which is Idumea, basically the Greek version of that. You know, or the Greek version of Edom, Idumea, because that's the same people. You know, the sword bathed in heaven, representing the bloodshed. Going to Isaiah the 63rd chapter, having them dyed garments from Basra. Isaiah 63. Who was that coming with dyed garments from Basra? Verse Isaiah 63 and 1. Who was that? Who was that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? That dyed garment being in blood, like it says in verse 2. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, representing that bloodshed, representing that sword, representing how he's coming to kill and destroy them, man. Going to Joel the 3rd chapter, Edom a desolate wilderness, and what land's primarily is he going to do that in? Of course, Babylon the Great, but also the land of Israel, where you have a lot of Edom, a lot of Amalekites, the nation of Edom out there, you know, and that's also where the setting for the headquarters for World War III is going to be. That's where the Mossad is going to gather all these nations to primarily fight. So when you see Russia and Ukraine going back and forth right now, it's just setting the stage for that right there. Now that's some shit can pop off on the borders of Ukraine. Don't get it twisted, but the ultimate war is gonna pop off on in the land of Israel today, also known as Yahweh Shaphat or God Judges. So all that is pretty much, like we go back into this article where Biden said all this is preparing the way for the largest invasion since World War II. What is that saying? What is he pretty much saying? They're not gonna come out and say the words, it's gonna be World War III. They ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna tell you that. They ain't gonna tell you, oh, this is detailed in Revelation, the 11th chapter and the 14th verse, the third woe, which is World War III in the Bible. They ain't gonna come out and tell you that. You know what I'm saying? But they'll use different hyperbolic language to detail the severity of what's going on. He said it will be the largest invasion since World War II. What is that? World War III. If it's the largest since then, there's a replica of that. And if it's the next one after that, it's the third. If that one was the second, it would change the world. Yeah, it would change the world because it's setting the stage and paving the way for everything that's going to lead to World War III. Whether that be economic sanctions, mass division, in terms of never-ending conflict between these nations, or at least on the surface, and everything else in between, man. So going to the title of this lesson, Russia versus Ukraine /NATO/US, it's all leading to World War III being closer than you think, man. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I said, I forgot I had this article pulled up. When I was going into China, China being allied with Russia. I'm gonna get a point right here. This is what I was speaking on. It said in 2014, war in China, war in Ukraine, and annexation of Crimea was an important factor driving Russia and China closer to each other, as Russia sought to reduce post-Crimea international isolation, and as Beijing realized it could drive a hard bargain in its bilateral relationship with Russia on issues like energy. China's response to 2014 war, however, was generally to avoid taking sides. Like I said, China wasn't going to fight with Russia, or go to war with Russia um that 2014 saga between Ukraine and Russia. But they were establishing a relationship, which is going, in that relationship, it's going to show its face in this conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And of course, they knew that. It's all planned. You know what I'm saying? We got to remember, I'm not saying the consequences of these things aren't actually going to happen. They are. But at its highest level, this shit is a narrative. At its highest level, all this shit is staged. It's a narrative. I'm not saying there's not no conflict or um or jealousy or whatnot. I'm sure there's some issues going on. Of course, there always is. You know what I'm saying? Because these people are ultimately pawns at the end of the day, and they're just doing the bidding of the higher level global elite that you don't see, who are also being controlled by the Most High on the left side. Not to mention the spiritual practices that they partake in behind the scenes. But continuing on, this is said, China accepted a narrative that placed blame on the West for causing the crisis, with top diplomats citing Western foreign interface for causing the crisis, but didn't approve of Russia's seizure of Crimea or its military actions in the Donbass. China abstained from voting on the key United Nations resolutions created regarding Crimea, for example, and it still declines to recognize Crimea as a Russian territory. Similarly, it verbally rejected U.S. and European sanctions on Russia. Um, what's the point I wanted? Wanted a different point in this. Oh, here we go. Compared to 2014, however, China may find it more difficult to avoid involvement in an escalating crisis. Meaning what? The escalating crisis between Russia and Ukraine. China ain't gonna be able to just back out of it. China ain't gonna be able to take no side. Like I said, they've established a relationship. Going back to 2014, there was a relationship established between China and Ukraine. Russia and China. You know, so when heavy levies and sanctions come against Russia from America, China's gonna step in and do their thing, man. Which is gonna be, which is gonna prove bad for America, and not just for America, but American citizens, man. Like I said, inflation, which is gonna turn to hyperinflation, shortages of mass proportions, and that's all gonna lead to the collapse of the dollar, which is gonna usher in the digital currency, which ushers in the you know what. It's all a process and different new world order protocols to usher this new society, this new system in, man. Because like I said, I'm not saying there isn't no conflict between these countries, but at the end of the day, they are all this is still the world stage. At the end of the day, they're all playing a role to usher in the new society. Let's see if I want to get anything from here. He's going into the U.S. just sending more weapons over there, man. This article pretty much just says the same things they said earlier on. So Russia, they say that, and this article is basically going into how it's saying the same thing, basically going to how within a month's time frame there could be attacks and levies and there could be attacks and fighting and conflict, basically all our war could be going down, man. So you know we gonna see how it all goes down. We gonna see how it all pops off. But as we can see, the spirit of war is being brewed in the world, man. But as we can see, the spirit of war is being escalated. It's all leading into the third world. Biden told you, man. This is the let's get the quote from Biden again. Biden told you, man. If if he were to move in with all those forces, basically if Russia attacks, it would be the largest invasion since World War II. Basically, this would start World War III. That's basically what he just said. And Russia's got boots on the ground everywhere, bro. They got boots on the ground everywhere, and they ready to go. So we gonna see what all this causes, man. But before I get ready to go, shout out if you still watching, bro. Shout out to my brother, Mr. San John 144. Shalom, bro. Hey, the water for coming through and supporting us always, bro. We're always coming through, showing love, man. I appreciate that, bro, a lot. He said, Second Ezra 6 and 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. Khan, absolutely. Absolutely. Who is all these, like I said earlier in the lesson, who is all these powers that rule these nations, man? I mean, who is the nation? Who is the nation of people that rule that sit in the power seat of these countries, man? Who are they rule the ruling powers, man, of this world? Esau, Edom, Russia, Edom, America, Edom, Israel, the land of Israel, Edom, you know? China, that's Moab, but there's still a lot of Edom, you know? Shit, Iran. You know, that's primarily stated amongst Israel as or amongst the world as the Edomites, you know, but that's a lot of them are Edomites too. You know? It's Edom and a lot of these a lot of this is Edom, man. So these ruling elite, these ruling powers, man, Edom. Shit, you even go in the northern Africa, man. You know, so going to some of the countries in northern Africa, you know, that are basically gonna be teamed up with Russia, Edom. You know, anywhere where you got ruling powers, got the spirit of war, got the spirit of conflict, got a division being sold, it's Edom, man. You know, city against city, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. That's what we're seeing right now. As Yahweh Shah said, this is the beginning of sorrows. Before I go though, I wanted to get Revelation the 16th chapter. Basically, to show real quick, there are some things that gotta happen. So you got all the vials, man. Now you got the first vial being poured out. We all know what that's going into. The grievous sword that's going to come upon them that take the thing. But that's the point I want to get right here. Armageddon or Hamagawan in the Hebrew. This is the same battle as the Valley of Jehoshaphat or the Valley of Decision or World War III or the Battle of Gog and Magog. All that's talking about the same thing. It says, I'm gonna get the point. It says he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Salakia. Now let's get verse 15 because this verse 15, this is actually Yahweh Shah speaking right here. It's in the red in the Bible. It says, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed he that watcheth and keep his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. You know, so we gotta watch, man. We gotta observe, we gotta watch, we gotta keep our garments, meaning what? This holy understanding and knowledge, man. Be lest he walk naked, meaning what? You have no oil. You know, you have no wisdom. You don't have your wits about you, man. Keeping your garment is having your wits about you, which is your wisdom and understanding. You know, because he comes as a thief. Notice that these two are linked up right here. It says they go hand in hand. Behold, I come as a thief, and also gathering them into a place, meaning what? Gathering all the heathen nations. Let's go to Zechariah the 14th chapter. Go to Zechariah 14 real quick. This is Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 1. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. I will gather all nations. Let's go back into Revelation, the 16th chapter. Revelation 16 and 16. And he gathered them into a place. Zechariah 14 and 1. 14:2, Salakia. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the woman ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and residue people shall be cut off from the city. And he gathered them into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, which is basically the Valley of Jehoshaphat. That's the setting place for World War III. You know, so that gathering of the nations, you know, that's how the Most High wants to render. That's because the Most High wants to render His anger on these heathens, man. And it's gonna come via His Son Yahweh Shai, and the fire that comes from His mouth, aka the chariots. You know, but notice these two go hand in hand, though. He's gonna come as a thief, and Armageddon's gonna come as a thief to those who aren't watching, to those who don't have their garments, those who do walk naked, going into these heathen, 2/3 of our people who are not paying attention, man. You know, so we gotta keep our eyes peeled on these things. Like Yahweh Shah said, no man knows the day or the hour, and these are the beginning of sorrows. So you got a lot of different you know, when you read the Revelation 16 chapter, goes into all the vials and all the pain and all the plagues that are going to come upon the people of the world. So in order for Armageddon or Harmageddon to pop off, all these things got to come as well, and those things haven't happened yet. So we understand, we know that. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that World War III is coming tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But it is coming, though. It is coming. Um, but the stage is just being set for it. The beginning of it is being set. You know, but we do got some time before we before it pops off full scale. How much time? Who knows? We'll see. They started human trials on these things this year, man. You know, so these vials could be going out there. Shoot, 2023. We'll see, man. Who knows the day of the hour? But World War III is definitely closer than you think. So with that, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah, Bashim Kakwadash. A Lord, what is us was edifying for the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel only. Abba, Abba, Kam Yasharala, Shalom, and keep the faith.